I personally think, and this is my own personal take, you guys knew this before, I went through a phase. I started off going to Jamaat when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I really loved the Deobandis when I was growing up. I still have a certain respect for them. When I say certain, I mean a compartmentalized respect as the people who... Deoband, let's just start off, as originally a movement. It's considered a movement.
Yeah.
It's considered a movement that ended up having lots of educational institutions, but it still is a movement. And they see it as a movement. And that movement originally was to battle the colonization that occurred with the British.
Wow.
No, yes. So, but now the evolution of a people and their understanding, I think, has been hindered for a few reasons. But when I was in India, one of the things that pushed me away, there's three main things that I witnessed. And if any of you guys are Deobandis, please don't take offense to this. I'm not saying all Deobandis. I'm talking about, unfortunately, at the level of scholarship. All right? And wallahi, I'm not making this up. I'm saying what I witnessed for myself. I read this in the books, and I didn't believe it until I was actually in India. Right? And then I actually saw things. The first is the practice of black magic amongst the elite from the scholars of Deoband.
Wow.
That's something that very much put me off. 1 second. And the glamorizing and the usage of jinns.
So can we just talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Because to be fair, they don't call it black magic.
They don't.
They call it white magic.
Yeah, exactly. But it's sihr. Couple that with, like, imagine how difficult this is for me. Like, when I'm on the north side, some of the masjids that are close to me when I'm on the north side of Chicago, I know that the person that's leading there, because the person that he did ruqya on, I know what this person asked him to do, which he considered ruqya. Like, the person who's leading, I know this person's very heavily involved in jinns and in black magic. Imagine trying to pray, and then he's giving nasiha and talking about hadith afterwards. Imagine how difficult that is, bro. Like, I can't pray in those places. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what's up. And I'm not going to pray behind a sahir, dude. There's some people that I know, man, they blew the cover on some of this stuff, and they got in some, let's say, some jinn trouble and some possession trouble. Yeah, dude, people in India, I'm just saying jinn, I'm just saying, like, just people in India in general, Muslim, non-Muslim, it doesn't matter, Hindu.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that does exist. People, I just talked to somebody last month, man, same thing. I sent them to Abu Mujahid.
Yeah.
That they got in a fight with their cousins and stuff in India.
Yeah.
Got a fight with their cousins in Pakistan, relatives. Wars over land and stuff. They just sick black magic on them or jinns on them.
You know what's
But they need, like, hair.
No,
right?
No, not only.
No, you know what's crazy?
No?
No.
That's one of the ways.
That's one way. But what I'm saying is that, from my understanding is that a lot of this, the evil sihr, like the deepest affecting one, is usually done by someone within family or extended family.
Inna lillah,
it's someone who you know, like, it's not just random people.
Yeah.
It's people who know you intimately, know enough about you.
Yeah.
Right? They have to know certain details. So, I mean, we ask Allah to protect us from people like that and hasad na'in, right? But the crazy thing is that I just wanted to say this. I know some people might think, oh, just dogging on subcontinent scholars and people. And I'm gonna
we
be
didn't say
fair.
all scholars. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be fair. Like, I don't want to say which group and which person, but even in Yemen, there are people who are of the persuasion of being Ahl Sufiya.
Yeah,
Right? I
yeah.
don't know if they.
Same thing in Egypt.
And they will use like sihr openly.
Yeah.
Like you'll see it. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like, and they
In
have
rural areas in Egypt too. Yeah.
well, I think the rural areas in Egypt, they kind of mix that old culture
Yeah.
with, like, with Islam in some way. They all, like, all that kind of stuff. But
It's a human
I'm
issue.
saying
Yeah.
this in like Yemen is straight up like sihr. Like, you'll find like books that are written sihr al-abiyad. I mean, like, they'll know it's white magic. You know what I mean? Like, and like, it's just like, for me, it just, I can't register with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it even happens in Saudi Arabia too.
Dude,
Because I
there
think
are,
Yeah.
because we saw, despite how strict practices they have, like penalties and fine, or it's basically death. If you get caught with black magic in Saudi Arabia, you will likely face capital punishment.
Especially if it's from the subcontinent. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember, I don't know if it was me and you who were looking up some of these videos, but we found some of the people from in Saudi, some of the police, the religious police, who were pulling some of these materials out of the sewers
Yeah.
and other places where they hide some of their work.
Yeah, and just to be a disclaimer, we're not talking about all Sufis or all Deobandis.
Or all Salafis. In Saudi, it's a Salafi place, right?
Right.
So
And
there are people who justify things with, no matter how clear-cut things are,
Yeah.
people will justify haram
actually,
and evil.
there was a
in whatever
story
way.
about this from Medina University where this one student was able to, I don't want to say it was Sheikh, I mean, it might cause, but anyways, he was saying that there was another student of knowledge with him at the time that was able to put papers back together. Like, he would just rip it in front of you and he would be able to put it back together. They could never figure it out. And so he used to say that somehow some relationship started, and he said, all I have to do, or my agreement is, I mean, the paper thing was not the only benefit, obviously, but it was one of the, whatever, he was able to do it. But for whatever reason why he did that, but all he had to do was, like, once a year, he would go out to the desert and he would offer this jinn an egg. Just an egg. I mean,
That's
they go
so
all
weird.
egg. But the thing is that the offering is ibadah, right? I mean, no matter how you look at it, right? I mean, we only offer for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We only sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he would do that. Like, he would, like, crack his egg open, and they found out, and finally when they found out, but what ended up happening is, like, there was actually another jinn inside of him that wanted to have obedience to that jinn. And so it was like this weird chain. We had ruqya on him, and, like, but I mean, but someone had put that jinn on him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, out of jealousy and but I mean, so things like this happen out of the human condition. Like, people become so the inability to deal with their emotions makes them act and reactionary, and they do extreme things. Like, even though Allah has says in the Quran, Harut and Marut said clearly it's a fitna, it's a test for you guys.